Right now, I'm in the middle of repairing this forgotten farm truck with the idea being to turn it into a workhorse that will last another 30 years.
Holy shit.
So far, I've already replaced the front brakes, front brake lines, the hydraulic pump, both wheel bearings, race bearings, PSOM, ignition coil, ICM, the distributor, the shift solenoid pack, the PCM, and it only has just a few little bitty problems. Like the front end eating tires, every single bushing related to steering is blown, the shocks are there for moral support, and the cab has a slight lean. Trust me, this is all gonna work out. So let's figure out why this thing is leaning so bad. I figured it was probably an overbent leaf spring, a worn bushing, or maybe some blown shocks. To test this theory, all I had to do was measure the length of each shock, and if the shocks are different lengths, then I have a suspension problem. But if the shocks are the same length, then that means...
Oh, shit.
The radiator support is so rusted that it's actually completely detached from the frame.
Oh my.
And that is why the cab just has a slight tilt to it. So to fix the rotting metal, all I have to do is replace the radiator support, and to do that, I have to disassemble the entire front end. I don't really feel like doing that right now, so let's work on something else. Something like ball joints. You see, when you have something that's this old and has a lot of miles on it, stuff starts to wear out and get a little relaxed. But we probably shouldn't talk about your mom like that, so let's get back to work on this truck. In order to replace all of the ball joints on the front end, I have to remove the front steering assembly. Let's whack this dude off. And the upper and lower ball joints on the steering knuckles. But in order to remove the steering knuckles, I have to remove the brake caliper, 4x4 lockout hub, the nuts holding on the hub, the hub itself, and the spindle. I thought this truck was already bad enough to work on, but somehow this thing just always finds a way to be a bigger pain in my ass. Whew. With the spindle off and the axle out, all I have to worry about is removing the knuckle. Easy enough, right? Oh, there it freaking goes, boy. Oh, shit. This thing is pretty well just seized on there, because I'm sure it's never been removed. I'm gonna hit it with a big fucking hammer. Wow. Wow, that was fucking difficult. And I only slightly destroyed my fender. But now that the driver's side is done, we can go ahead and finish up the passenger side. Let's go. With both of the knuckles finally off, you would think that the next logical step would be to remove the ball joints. And you'd be correct. Woo! Removing the ball joints was actually fairly easy, but installing them was a different story. Not only was I sent the incorrect part by Moog, that freaking sucks a lot, but the ball joint adapter kit didn't have the correct sized fittings to install the ball joint. So, I hate to admit this, but I paid someone else to install them for me. But after I told the boys at Raven my situation, they were more than happy to charge me $77.50 to fix my problem. With the ball joints pressed in, I decided to clean up the studs a little bit because I definitely damaged them while taking the spindle off. So after a lot of filing, I got them back in operational condition. Now, we can install the steering knuckles back on the truck. All I have to do is not cross-thread the nut on the ball joint. I cross-threaded the nut on the ball joint. So after having a mild temper tantrum, fuck this, I collected myself, got a different adapter kit, and put in a new lower ball joint. Let's go! After fixing that minor setback and installing the dust boot on the axle in a rather unorthodox way, we're ready to put the wheel head back on. First thing we need to do is grease up the spindle. Okay, that's enough. It doesn't need any more grease. Stop putting grease on it! Once the hub's back on the spindle, we can go ahead and throw on the nuts, the 4x4 assembly, and the brake caliper. And after doing the exact same thing on the passenger side, we're ready to drive it. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Now that the ball joints are taken care of, we can start working on replacing the radiator support. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I have to disassemble the entire front end. So after removing a lot of bolts, I got to the point where it kind of wanted to come out, but not really. And it's not coming out because I haven't removed the radiator support bolts yet. So to accomplish that, I had to bust out the machine of undying torque. After getting a good grip on it, I was ready to let it rip. Is it okay if I make a lot of noise? And with a little persuasion, I finally got it out. And with it out of the truck, we can see just how much of a hazard it really was. But I still have to remove these pesky radiator support bolts. So long story short, I just cut the bastards off.
Holy shit.
Alright, I got the bushings in. Now I just need to put all this shit back together, I guess. Once I got all of the old quick fasteners and snaps back on the new support, we are ready to install this thing.
There we go.
After replacing some old hardware on the headlight mounts, I had to jack up the cab a little bit so everything would line up properly. The only thing I have to do now is put everything back together. So let's do that. And with everything back on, it's starting to look like a truck. Except for that, don't look at that. I forgot to mention this, but after taking the headlight bezel off, I found that there was no way of reusing it. But luckily for me, Facebook Marketplace is a thing, and I managed to find one for a pretty good price. Don't touch it! So after removing the old headlight stud that was stuck in there,
Here we go.
I was able to install the new headlight bezel, throw on a new set of steering bars, and a new set of front shocks. She's finally starting to look like a truck. Now that everything is installed, she's getting the full mani-pedi and going to get in alignment. Alright. I really hope I tightened everything. Definitely needs an alignment. So I decided to go to none other than Best One Tire. But they were booked until next week, so I actually went to
A smaller Best One.
After getting 2 new front tires, an alignment, and an oil change, she feels, this thing's floating, baby, and looks just as good as it did on the showroom floor. If you're really, really far away and squint. But this thing has really come a long way since I first got it. It starts whenever you want it to. Come on. What the fuck? For the most part, it drives in a straight line and no longer dies randomly. The brakes work, and most importantly, it can haul our shit. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.